We welcome in SNY contributor John Harper. And what will the sense of urgency be for the owners this week when they meet in Florida?
That's a great question, Eamon. I don't think anybody knows. I mean, we don't know what their strategy is. It could be that they don't have no sense of urgency. They haven't exactly had a sense of urgency about these negotiations, and it could be that they want to push these players into a position where they think the players will blink, and they'll kind of end up winning the day or winning negotiations. They have really the last couple of these negotiations. So I don't know if that's the case. Then there is no urgency. I think this is the key, that we don't know what the owner's strategy is, but I think that's going to dictate how quickly this ends up getting resolved.
There are obviously several issues at hand, but what concession do the owners need to make for there to be any hope of an agreement and the players saying, okay, the owners are serious about this?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is the getting the younger players paid more than anything else. We know there's some other things, key things like luxury tax thresholds and draft incentives, things like that, or non-tanking incentives. But I think it comes down to they feel like the younger players aren't getting paid as much as they used to. What it comes down to is when they get to free agency, these players in their 30s aren't getting paid what they usually. That's why they tried to lower the free agency requirement. They gave up on that. So I think that instead they're gonna really want the younger players to get paid more, raise that minimum from in the 600 range to 750. I think they asked for, and we'll see if the owners, they came back with a very minimum of an upgrade. So I think that is going to be the key issue when it comes right down to it.
All right, Harp, I don't want to turn this into what are the odds, but what does your gut tell you about the Mets hosting the Nationals and the Yankees visiting Texas opening day, March 31st?
I tell you, Eamon, I don't think the season's going to start on time. I hate to say it, but I think there's just we know about the two sides, how much acrimony there is, and I think that unless they're facing a true deadline on either side, the players looking at losing paychecks, the owners looking at losing gate receipts, that type of thing. I don't think either side's going to move because they're pretty entrenched. So I think in that case, you're looking at getting into March, maybe before anything really gets serious about these negotiations, which I think pushes them past opening day. I think they figure out a way in the end to play 162 or very close to it. But I don't think they're going to get this thing started on time. I hate to say it, but it's just my gut feeling.
Yeah, you're not the only one, obviously. As you mentioned, both sides are entrenched. History tells us that the Baseball Players Association does not cave easily. So why do the owners think that maybe they can be a little bit stronger this time around and that the players might cave more so than in the past?
I think it's because we talked about before is they know that this idea of getting a free agency, which used to be kind of the gold standard, it's not as much of an incentive for players anymore because because of the analytics era, players in their 30s don't get paid the way they used to. That's why they tried to lower that requirement. So I think it's all about these young players getting paid. And if you look at it, the average major league salary has actually come down in the last few years. And there's a stat came out a couple of weeks ago. It's like 50% of all big leaguers are making in that pre-arbitration range of less than $1 million. So these guys aren't all making Max Scherzer money. I think that's the bottom line. There's a lot of them that are really going to be feeling the need for the paycheck. And I just don't think the union is as strong as it used to be when it was under Donald Fear and those guys. I think there's a lot of pressure on these players to get something done, but I think more when it comes down to anything more than that, it's about getting those paychecks.
All right, we'll see what comes out of the owners' meeting in Florida this week. John Harper, thanks for joining us here on Geico Sports Night.